makes most women start a business? Is it passion, money, or freedom? Welcome to Female Founders, the podcast that takes you behind the scene with women who are founders and CEOs to help you start and scale a successful business of your own. I am your host, Nagelia de Ravin. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Female Founders. In this episode, we are going to have a conversation with Brandi Keiser, the founder of Brandi Keiser International and Claire Lotus Consultant. Brandi is an executive coach, business consultant, two-time startup COO and CEO, and business operations and leadership expert. Today, we will catch up with Brandi to learn more about her entrepreneurship journey and businesses. Hi Brandi, what a pleasure to have this conversation with you today. You are an accomplished executive and business consultant. Can you tell us about your journey and why did you choose that career path?
Yeah, thank you, Nagelia. I really appreciate you having me join you today. So I have spent most of my career, or all of my career actually, in management consulting until about 2 years ago. And at that point, I decided, after working with so many executives in both 2 startup consulting firms and in all of my client organizations, such as the federal government and other large organizations, that I really enjoyed the one-on-one aspect of developing people and working with them and their teams to do something bigger, more exciting, better, or to just see those individual victories when people are accomplishing things that they haven't tried before. So I transitioned into coaching about a year ago is when I launched 2 companies, as a matter of fact. And I'm really enjoying the entrepreneurial journey, as well as just the idea of being able to help people at an individual level achieve things that they may not have thought that they could do.
Absolutely. And you know what? Especially with COVID-19 hate, and that's something we were not expecting at all. It's just like, where do you come from? Go away. So a lot of people don't know what to do at this point, and having someone like you that can come up and say, hey, I can help you with accomplish these goals and get you rise again, which is a word that we're going to get into because we use that a lot. And it's amazing what you are doing to be your experience and be able to come in and say, hey, I can help you get things you need to get done, because a lot of us, we didn't know what to do with COVID. We just stopped. We literally just, some of us just stopped life. Well, not dying, I mean, but like, we don't do anything. We just stay home and like, so should we be doing something here? So it's amazing because your experience can help a lot. So we should, go ahead, you want to say something?
No, you're just 100% right. That COVID has been, it's actually the really positive side of all of that is people have had a lot of time to be at home and to be more introspective in terms of the balance that they might want in their career, or recognizing that maybe things were holding them back, that they were overvaluing. Maybe they're understanding and appreciating that, hey, if I try something new, maybe a new group of people or a new experience will actually allow me to show my potential. So there's been a lot of people starting side hustles, joining new companies, putting themselves out there to do things they may not have thought that were possible before, which is very exciting. I mean, for anyone that can take the bolder leaps in life, and after having a little bit of time to step away and gain perspective, is certainly what I'm there for.
Absolutely. And one thing I will say is that don't try to do it alone. It's good to start a new adventure and to start doing something. Get someone like Brandi that can help you accomplish it, because trying to do it alone is like putting yourself to a suicide mission that you can't accomplish at all and you end up quitting. So it's not a good idea. Yeah. So that get me to, you are passionate about helping others, and you say that you help them to rise again. So that they can accomplish their goals. So can you kind of collaborate in that for us? How do you do it?
Yeah, no, it's Rise Again. It really kind of evokes a visceral reaction for me. Just from life experience, I've had so many different things, as many people have, challenges in life that I really honestly thought that perhaps I wouldn't be able to recover professionally because I was so exhausted, mentally drained. In some cases, I was grieving. In other cases, I just had major life transitions. And so being able to constantly be in a cycle of reminding myself that I can pick myself up, I can move forward, I can try something new, or quite frankly, just get back on track with what I was trying to do originally, was where I decided that the coaching piece became so invaluable. So in terms of how do you do it, it's such a great question. A few little tips that I've picked up along the way that have been so important every time I find myself in the need to rise again is to really prioritize my mental health. And for me, that means making sure I walk every morning or do some kind of exercise that is certainly part about physical, but mostly about having myself be quiet in my mind and be very mindful of what the purpose of my day will be. And honestly, feeling really good. Walking for me helps to invoke some really good feelings to start my day. And then the second tip that I would have is I journal a lot. And it's not because I really wrote in my diary as a child or anything that was really meaningful, but it's a place for me to capture all of those thoughts, whether it's things that I'm concerned about, of course, my ever-present to-do list, and more importantly, the things that I'm really passionate about that maybe I don't know that I can achieve that dream or that goal, but the more that I take notes about it, thoughts about it, and organize myself before I know it, I end up with mini game plans. And those game plans have really served me well in terms of rising up, taking one step and another step, and then before I know it, I'm out of the gates and getting back on track.
I love them.
Thank you.
Taking care of your health. Yeah. It's the number one thing, because if you don't have your health, well, what are you going to do? Nothing else. It's like everything else is a disaster.
Absolutely. And you really can't be there for others if you're not there for yourself, which most of us are inclined to extend the branch to others before our own journey. And so that's the number one thing for me, especially being a career woman with children. I often find myself thinking about them instead of how I might need to be taken care of in a situation. So lots of self-care goes into rising again.
Absolutely. And if the way also I seen it, you are the first woman I talked to in a very long time that say that taking care of yourself come first. And it's actually very important even for the household. Because if you are not taking care of yourself, how can you take care of your kids? How can you feed your kids? How can you help anyone else? If you're a coach, you can't coach anyone if you're not healthy. So yeah, you make a big important tip here. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
So why did you decide to quit corporate America?
That's such a good question. And I say that's a good question because I'm someone who benefited greatly from a really wonderful journey and rise in corporate America. I was the chief operating officer of 2 startup consulting firms, and I had the privilege of being able to be a part from day one or them being small and really growing and getting to a place of building out infrastructure and culture and employee engagement, which is a really fun aspect of a business. But for me, I decided, after doing that 2 times and then being part of other teams, that I had another journey that I needed to walk on as part of my overall life plan. And I wanted to be able to start my own business. And that was something that I, quite frankly, was intimidated by for a very long time. I was excited about it. I knew so much from my experience of what needed to tactically happen. But I definitely had imposter syndrome. I had a lot of fear. I had a lot of trepidation about the expense, about the time, the investment, and the confidence of being the person. But ultimately, everything I did in corporate America and all of the people that I had worked with all along the way contributed to me being able to ultimately have the confidence to say, I can start a business. And in fact, I started 2. So I guess I'm not completely out of corporate America in many ways, but certainly it was a big transition for me.
The way I see it, you're still in corporate America, but there's a little bit of a difference. You're in corporate America for yourself, not for somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm coaching a lot of wonderful people in corporate America. So that's a great thing for me.
Exactly. So you are the founder and CEO of Lotus Consulting.
Yes.
And also principal coach of Brandi Keiser International.
Yes,
so
correct.
Can you kind of guide us and about these 2 organizations and what are they about and what they do exactly?
Yeah, that's great. I'd love to. Clear Lotus Consulting actually came after Brandi Keiser. So last January, I was when I decided I was going to commit to starting my coaching practice, which is Brandi Keiser International. I had a real dream and passion around being able to help not just people that are here locally to me, but also people all over the world. And ultimately through coaching and, of course, podcasting and writing a book and being able to deliver online courses and just having a reach and an impact that goes beyond where I can physically go. And then 2 months later, I realized that I had so much in me around my business experience and around my management consulting experience that I didn't really want to let that go just yet. So I started Clear Lotus Consulting, which is a management consulting firm. I'm, of course, delivering executive coaching services through that company as well. But I also expanded the reach into other human capital areas. I recognize certainly through COVID, when we're talking about the great resignation and great retention in the workforce, that there's a lot of support that is needed for companies who are focused on having a great culture, invigorating their organizations as a whole, and looking at all the things that are needed corporately to be able to have a thriving organization. So now here I am with two companies. One is, of course, my passion project, my labor of love, and the other one has a bigger client base and aspect to it. So it's more corporate to corporate than the individual level.
So pretty much you're targeting, it's like two different market targets. So you're targeting big companies, and you're also targeting people that just individually that just need your help.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Mm-hmm.
Would you say that that's a lot of work?
It is a lot of work. I think anyone that's an entrepreneur, whether they have one company, 2 or 10, it's a lot of work. You really, for me, it's actually the mental work. It's not the physical work and all of the to-do lists that I have. But the lot of work comes into thinking through, how can I be of value when I'm not directly serving a client? So what is the next thing that I'm going to write about? And what is the conversation that I need to have to inspire an organization when I meet with them? And just being ahead of what certain trends are and what is really important for the problems that people face today. So that's really where the hard work comes in, is just making sure that I'm in a good space to be able to be there for people in a way that is relevant to their needs today.
Absolutely. Wow. You are amazing. You are doing so much.
Thank you. It's a great journey. I love it.
So what inspired you to name your organization Clear Lotus Consulting?
Oh, that was if anyone has ever tried to name a baby, they know that that's a difficult thing to do. And I was naming too. Clear Lotus actually came out of the idea that a lotus flower rises up out of the murkiest waters and is such a beautiful flower. They're all different colors. You see them in very interesting art and photos and things like that. But underneath the surface, they're growing out of, again, the murkiest waters and interesting dark places. And I really loved that as a visual for what I was trying to do to help organizations and people who are rising up and coming out of something that may have been very challenging for them. And then the word clear is representative of the fact that lotus flowers actually do come in a lot of colors, and in their Asian or Eastern Asian origin, then those colors all have different meanings and symbolism. And I didn't want to be either disrespectful or not acknowledging and recognizing those other colors. So for me, clear recognizes that it could be anybody, it could be any challenge, it could be any time and any place. You're sort of writing your own script around your journey of rising up.
Wow, that's a lot of thinking behind this.
Yes, it was very important to me. It was something that really resonated with my personal journey. And so it did definitely take a lot of thought to put into that and to get it together. Yes.
So can you tell us something about your coaching methods and the techniques you have developed over it?
Yeah, absolutely. So coaching is a very personal experience. So every individual that I work with has a different challenge, a different goal, a different need, a different personal style. And so coaching, certainly there's a methodology and a structure that I follow in each one of my coaching calls. But when it comes to the individual and their challenges, each person has a different way in which they receive information the best, or in which I can tap into what might really be the heart of an issue. So it might be that I ask them to put themselves in my shoes. Maybe, I think, okay, if you're the coach, how would you coach yourself? What answers might you possibly tell yourself? Because we're often limited by what we think our own potential might be. But when somebody else says it to us, there's always an aha moment. So that's one aspect. I also a tremendous amount of deep listening. Listening skills are something that are completely underrated in every relationship, and a coaching relationship, deep listening skills is really the foundation. So asking questions of okay, I've got that answer, but what's really behind that? And then let's scratch that surface a little more. What's really behind that? Often you're finding that issues are 3 or 4 layers deep as to why somebody may or may not be motivated to move through to a next step or overcome the challenge they're in. We're often in our heads and not in our heart. So I do a lot to get people to sort of drop down into a space that speaks from their heart or even from their gut.
So pretty much from what I'm hearing is that they only know the answer to the problem. A lot of time they know it. It's kind of like they know it. They don't know it because it's there.
Yeah.
So
yes.
Pretty much you asking all the proper questions, you themselves let them tell you the answer to that problem.
100%. You've got that right. That's exactly the purpose of a coach. And it seems counterintuitive. Why would people pay somebody to tell me what I already know? Well, for me, the experience I have says that most people either lack the confidence or lack the self-awareness to really appreciate that they actually do know the right answer, or they actually know what they need to do and can take that next step. Most people don't necessarily have a great perspective around their own abilities, or they just need a little vote of confidence or encouragement in a conversation that says, oh, okay, she's validating my idea just by listening to me. Maybe I will actually try to do that this week. So it's a funny little dance that we do in coaching, just around asking questions and really helping people to uncover what they probably already know, and then just having the confidence to really hold themselves accountable to it.
Absolutely. And I like that techniques because it's different. And I love the fact that by doing that, you also showing them that you care enough to take the time to get to know them and know what they want to do. Instead of you telling them, well, just go left and turn right and the other way and you be there, you good. So it's like you telling them. Again, you are setting them up for failures because it's you that's telling them. But if it is them that's actually telling you and they already know the answer, it's only them. So it's easy to accomplish that. So
that's right.
It's a great technique.
Yeah, they definitely have, people have ownership over their own journey, which is what it's really all about. At the end of the day, it's not my journey, it's the person that I'm speaking with. And so allowing people to really own that and feel comfortable and confident in that is most of what I spend my day doing.
So I think it's one of the top keys of things that you are doing. It's super important what you are doing, because you are guiding them the proper way for them to keep doing what they love doing the most in their life. So I think it's perfect.
That's a great. Well, thank you. That's a great way to put it.
So what does the BK community do?
So that's a place where when I have different coaching clients who may want to come together to work on an issue together, or have some camaraderie around one another. So, sometimes it's very isolating to sort of go through your personal development journey with just either a coach or on your own. And so being a part of a community where you're able to bring up something that is of a concern or a challenge you may want to be tackling, and have other people share their own ideas or thoughts around how they may have tackled that issue is really, really helpful. Most humans are wired to want to be around other humans. And certainly when we are feeling challenged, we often feel alone, or we're stuck in our own heads and not able to see what other possibilities might be. And so the idea of community is certainly to help bring out the best in people and allow them to feel some sense of purpose and connection as they work through that.
Another way to help one another to get where you want to need to be.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
What is the BK Goal Circle? What does it offer?
So that's more for the executive coaching clients that I offer. It's very similar to the community that you referenced. But the Gold Circle is really about bringing together executives who might be working on business challenges. So it's a little different in that it's more focused around the professional development aspect or business growth, as opposed to the individual and personal development concepts.
Awesome. So what do you mean by when you say that a self-belief can be powerful tools to re-engaging with life? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I'm sure you've experienced, as many other people, especially through COVID, that when we are feeling disconnected from our goals, or we are feeling as though we've lost confidence in our own abilities, or perhaps we're really clouded or exhausted by something that was happening in our life outside of our control, whether there's a medical issue, a family issue, even death. There's a lot of things that can happen in our world that really derails us and starts to create negative thoughts in our minds. And so self-belief is one of those things. It sounds like such a simple set of words, but there are many things that allow us, or I shouldn't say allow, they encourage us to think that we can't do something. And I discovered through my own experiences that often when I was reemerging from a challenging time, I had really lost my confidence and my belief in what I really had thought was possible before the challenging time. So bringing myself back to a centered mindset around, okay, I can do this. This was a goal that I had. There's no different now that I'm not different now than before. I can still pursue this. I can still move forward is really an important first step in terms of taking on whatever goal you might set for yourself.
Absolutely. And my grandpa used to say that you are your best friend and also your worst
enemy.
Yes.
Wise man.
It took me a while to understand the thing because he was saying it to me. I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I couldn't understand what he meant by it. It takes me a while to understand what he was trying to explain, and it's kind of like he's right. In my teen life, I get to experience that. We put ourselves down, and again, it goes to the self-belief. We actually do put ourselves down. We tell ourselves, we can't do this. I can't start a business. I can't get this job. I don't have the experience for it. I can't do this. It's like we make ourselves. It's like we're our worst enemy at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The voices in our head are often the biggest demons that we come across when we're trying to do things. And we often ask ourselves, how could that possibly happen for me? I see somebody online doing this, that, or the other thing. And then I think, well, why can't I do that? Why does that never work out for me? Well, if you flip all of those words to the opposite and positive perspective, why can't it happen for you? Why haven't you done that before? Then suddenly you're in a more productive mindset that says, hey, maybe I'm inspired now. Okay, I can't necessarily finish a 5K race tomorrow, but maybe I can go out and start speed walking, for the rest of this week. So it's all about the inspiration, what comes from that little seedling of self-belief when you start to really invest in that for yourself.
Exactly. So you have multiple roles, and I know as a woman we always do, even when we think we don't, we do.
No kidding.
So, you have multiple roles. You're a wife, a mother, a daughter. You have many of them. So, and you also founder of 2 successful companies. So how do you manage all of them?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. And every day I ask myself some of that. I have to really listen to my body and I have to listen to my mind. And that's come with age. I can tell you that even 5 years ago, I really was not great at balancing my roles. And I really learned the hard way that if I'm not taking care of myself or I'm not finding ways to balance all of my priorities, that I'm not showing up well for anyone. So now I make sure that I am very clear on what my goal is for that day. And it's no longer to be all things to all people and do the entire to-do list. I'm making sure that I know exactly what I can accomplish for that day and how I can show up best for the people that are in my world. My husband is a great example of that. He's my partner in crime. And often I think, oh, he can take care of himself. But the reality is he needs that connection with me as much as I need the support from him. So I'm just very mindful now. Mindfulness is a really great word that I've really come to appreciate in this point of my life. And if I can't do all the things, then I just can't do all the things. And I've made peace with that as opposed to 5 or 10 years ago when my kids were smaller and I felt like, I had to be the perfect mom. I had to do all the right things and pack the best lunch and throw the best birthday party. And they had to be, perfect students. And I had to show up looking like the perfect person. I've really come a long way in letting most of that go and understanding that that's not really how I show up well in my life. That pressure on myself is not helpful.
I can relate to that. As a first-time mom, it was kind of like, nobody had a book for that. My mom never taught me that part. She had every discussion in the world, but forget the baby part. So what exactly do you do after the baby come out? Yeah, nobody said anything, but that's okay. Right. So we not only have to learn in the job, so that is the best job. We have to actually learn it as we go along.
Absolutely.
And a lot of time we have no clue what we are doing. And I love what you said when you said that it's you try to trying to show up to be the perfect mom, because at the end of the day you are not a perfect human being. How can you be a perfect mom? So it's impossible. And I think that just being there for your kids, being there for your family, just like you are there for your clients, is the best thing you can possibly do for them. Just being there.
100% agree with that. That's the major shift that I've had in my life over the past few years, recent years, honestly, is recognizing that the more that I am there for people in quality moments, with my best self in terms of balance mentally and physically, then that's what brings on those deeper connections and the bigger satisfaction in life. And I have really been seeing that in terms of the daily rewards and the connections with my family and friends, as opposed to, again, the things that I thought were really important outwardly, that really ran me into the ground. I ended up, not well as a result of trying to run around like a crazy person, doing everything with this whole facade that it was, I was great and I was wonderful and I could do it. And it's just not realistic. Certainly not for me.
I don't think it is for anyone. It's called burnout. You just get burned out. Absolutely. And eventually you quit everything in life because you burn out.
That's exactly right.
Life has taught you about being broken and the importance of dusting yourself off and rising out of the dark holes caused by stress, doubt, loss, and everything else in this world. Can you tell us about your experiences?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a few things come to mind. I had a period of time, it was about a 10-year stretch of time from my late 30s, mid 30s into my 40s, where my sister passed away unexpectedly, which was a very difficult thing, being a young mom, and she herself was young. And then, I relocated a few times and I had other family members pass away unexpectedly. And then ultimately, I went through a divorce, and anyone that's experienced a divorce, no matter what the circumstances are, even if it's amicable, that is a very stressful and draining situation. And it took a long time in my instance. And that was something that I could not ever anticipate, how I needed the mental stamina and self-belief to get through that and understand that there was something on the other side for me that I couldn't know at that time. So all of that feeling of constantly feeling heavy and being brought down, just when I thought maybe something good would happen, something else would, happen that was bad, and feeling that was never going to end, is what really has allowed me to be a more effective coach to people who have gone through some things. I call them my scars. And I say that because, we think about scars and do everything to prevent having a scar when we get injured or we have surgery. But I actually am happy that I have scars, because I'm allowed to be more relatable to people, and I tap into a deeper source of how and why I want to help people, because that empathy is there. And it's taken a lot of work to get to a place to be able to feel comfortable and confident and believe that great things can happen to good people, even after so many different disheartening and tragic situations.
Absolutely, you are right. Because a lot of us, when we go to that many obstacles, we put ourselves into a dark place where it's hard for us to get out of it and be able to just say that, no, I'm not going to be there. I'm going to get out, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to help people. It's a huge thing.
Yeah, it definitely is.
So what are your future plans?
The future is super exciting and bright, and I am not going to let anyone tell me otherwise. So I have a couple of online courses that I'm working on right now to really help those multi-passionate, ambitious women in particular who want to do big things but aren't sure exactly how to get there, and whether that's imposter syndrome they're dealing with, or how do you organize, or how do you start a business or a side hustle, and then how you grow that. What is your message? What is your personal brand? And why are you here with this great passion around it? And what do you do with that? So that's one thing that I'm working on. And of course, I'm also working on a lot of writing. My ultimate goal for my coaching practice is to start writing more books and be able to offer more online self-help resources, really, for personal development and professional growth.
Wow. You have a lot going on.
It's my passion, so that makes it easier.
So what message would you give to women entrepreneurs who are just starting out?
Yeah. Oh, gosh. I've been in your shoes, and I will tell you that just like early motherhood, actually, early entrepreneurship is like having a baby, and it can feel very chaotic and overwhelming and isolating. I did not anticipate feeling so isolated when starting two businesses. Yes, I was busy, but I would just look around my house and think, okay, this is just me. There's no one here that's helping me. And that sometimes can really inhibit your ability to have confidence and grow quickly. So tap into local resources or online resources if you need assistance or camaraderie. Certainly going to work at a place that has a communal workspace was really helpful for me. I got to hone my ideas and my message and just be around other professionals as I was starting out. Certainly hiring a coach can help you with accountability and honestly, a little bit of the how-to. Certainly I do a lot of listening, but there are definitely times when I'm helping people understand, okay, what is the next step? And then where do you want to go from here? And what do you need to consider? So there are a lot of tremendous resources and wonderful people out on the internet, on YouTube, and certainly on Instagram who can offer insights. And that's another thing I did, is just follow a lot of people who are on the journey that I'm on, so I can see and hear what they're trying to do. And there's lots of inspiration that can come from that.
Absolutely. And also don't forget to get a coach like Brandi.
Thank you for that.
Anything else you'd like to share with us before I let you go today?
Just that if there's anyone out there who is really trying to do something big, or fearing that perhaps they're not able to, or they're a little concerned that maybe their dreams aren't possible, you can do it, girl. And it doesn't take very much for you to think through and inspire yourself with confidence, and then take that first step. And maybe it's a half step, and it's a tiny baby step of just writing an idea down. But really commit to your own dreams and goals, because we have one life to live. So if you're not going to do it now, then when are you going to do it?
Exactly. This is it right here. This is it. So just take advantage of it, because you don't know what else is going to happen after that. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
And thank you so much, Brandi, for being here with us today. And I appreciate you taking the time to share your knowledge with us, and also your stories and about your companies. It's awesome to actually just have conversation with women doing great things in this world, because we need more women to step out, just help, because we need to create better for the next generation.
I totally agree. We are amazing examples for those that come behind us, whether they're our daughters, whether they're people that see us in the world, see us online, so we can really set that tone and example and empower them as well. So thank you so much for having me today. It's been a real pleasure.
Oh, thank you. Great conversation with Brandi. We don't just need a coach, but a coach who cares about our success and will help us rise again when we cannot do it alone. And that's what I like about Brandi, rise again. When looking for a coach, take the time to find a great one. And someone like Brandi is one of a kind. Thank you, Brandi, for taking the time to have this conversation with me, and thank you for listening to this week's episode. Let me know your thoughts about this episode and what do you look for in a coach. To learn more about Brandi, visit www.brandikeiser.com. Thank you for listening to Female Founders Podcast. That's it for this week's episode. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app or connect with us on womel.com so that you don't miss our next episode. See you next time. Bye for now.